I know it's been spring for a while, but I live in Canada, so it honestly didn't feel like spring until like yesterday. Today, I'm going to be going through 5 books that I really want to finish this spring, and I'm mostly doing this to hold myself accountable and like have a solid goal. But I also think that, especially if you're an indecisive person like myself, it's really important to kind of have a list on standby for when you don't know what to read. You can just take a look at the list and pick from there. Something about spring and the sun shining just makes me want to read all of the like fun, fluffy books. So that is mostly what this list is going to be like today. So, with all that being said, my first book is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. This is her fourth book, and as an Ontario girly, her books are like crack to me. This is a follow up to her first book, Every Summer After, which remains my favorite of all of her books, actually. And it is about the older brother of the love interest in that one. And he's kind of a secondary love interest to the FMC, but it's very The Summer I Turned Pretty. Like, Jeremiah is never a serious option. Charlie, who's the brother and the love interest in this book, is never a real option. This book reveals that Charlie also had like a young love summer romance once upon a time, and Alice, the main character in this book, has come back to cottage country to help out her grandma, and obviously their paths are going to cross again, and we'll find out how they reconnect, and they're probably going to fall in love, and it will be very cute. This comes out on May 6th, and I wish I had the willpower to wait until like summer's in full swing to read this, but realistically, I will be dropping everything to pick this up. I wish I owned a cottage for the sole purpose of driving up there and reading this book on a dock by the water. But alas, I will probably be reading it from my bed. Next up is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I'm trying to read all of her books because I loved Just for the Summer when I read it last year, and I just read another one of her books, and it rotted my brain for like a week and a half. I could not stop thinking about it. I'm currently reading The Friend Zone by her, and it is not good. I'm really not liking it. I've heard that series gets better, but I'm hearing mixed reviews about this book, so I would say I'm cautiously optimistic going into it. The Part of Your World series is just so good, so honestly, if The Friend Zone wasn't such a slog, I would be really excited for this one, but just because of the lukewarm reviews, I'm not sure, but I'm open. Complicated FMC, there's a cute dog, sounds like possibly enemies to lovers. I'm interested, I'm sat. Oh, also the title is a Taylor Swift lyric, so that's how you drag me in. I've really been wanting to read more nonfiction that isn't just a memoir, but I really struggle to find something that interests me enough to choose it over just like a fiction novel or a memoir. But I found one that I'm actually really excited for, and so I had to include it on this list. It is One in a Millennial by Kate Kennedy, and I actually bought the physical version of this, and I don't do that very often, but this one was so cute, I couldn't turn it down. It's a bit of a memoir, but mostly classified as nonfiction, and it's about millennial culture, growing up in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and just kind of the pop culture of that time in a way that very much skews towards young women. I'm technically Gen Z. I was born in 1998, so I'm not expecting a lot of this to be like relatable per se, but I think it'll be the perfect mix between relatable and also new things and like experiences that I was slightly too young to remember or too young for at the time. It just sounds very fun, funny, snappy, and that's what I want out of a nonfiction. I kind of want to read things that I already have an idea about or that already interest me a lot, but just hear someone talk about it. Like, I'm not sure if I'm ever going to dive into nonfiction that's about a topic that I have zero interest about. It just sounds like butterfly clips and Britney Spears CDs in book form, and I'm very here for that. Next up is Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey, and once again, a sports romance finds me, and I'm skeptical. Fangirl Down was good, but not my favorite. I didn't like the au pair affair, but maybe Tessa Bailey will win me back with this one. A friend who I trust really liked this book, so I'm going into it with some cautious optimism. My weariness mostly comes from the two main characters being step siblings to be. They met and like started their relationship before they knew that, before they had met the other's parents. So it's not going to be like weird or creepy, I hope. I just think it will be inconvenient and awkward and just grounds for miscommunication central. I'm just hoping that Tessa Bailey doesn't make it weird because we're on a slippery slope here. The cover is adorable. I like more Tessa Bailey books than I dislike, and it seems like it's going to be like a bit of a friends to lovers situationship going on, so we'll see how it goes. Lastly, we have The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and I mentioned this in my physical TBR video, I think, but it is actually mental that I haven't read this book after owning it for so long, because Britt Bennett is the author of one of my favorite books, The Mothers. This is a historical fiction book, which I don't really dabble with. The only one I can think of that I've read and enjoyed in my adult life is Lessons in Chemistry. It's about twin sisters who run away from this small southern black community when they're teenagers. They grow apart as adults, especially as one sister is white passing and starts a life with a white man who does not know anything about her past, and the other sister actually moves back to the small town they were raised in. It takes place between the 50s and the 90s, and as far as historical fiction goes, I think one that spans that many time periods is the most interesting to me. And, it touches on how their daughters are going to meet and their lives are going to become intertwined. And yeah, I just have a really good feeling that I'm going to like this one. All right, and that is my roundup of 5 books that I really want to read this spring and that I'm adding to my immediate TBR. If you've read any of these books, please let me know down below your non-spoilery thoughts on them, and also tell me some books that you really want to read this spring or new releases that you're really looking forward to. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye!